Emma sat on the edge of the couch, her fingers nervously tapping against the fabric. A soft drizzle swirled around her, each raindrop forming a testament to her secrets. She held her phone loosely, scrolling through Ethan's messages 100 times, each word igniting a sense of thrill deep inside. She knew it was wrong, every part of her mind shouting to her to put down the phone, to remember Liam, to return to the life they built together. But the potent pull of Ethan's words and attention made her feel alive in ways she hadn't felt in years. Liam entered the room quietly, dropping his briefcase by the door. "Hey," he said, trying not to pierce her gaze. "Dinner is almost ready." His warm smile was tired and soft, but Emma forced a smile back. Though it didn't reach her eyes, she placed the phone beside her, partially beneath a cushion, feeling a flood of guilt wash over her. She loved Liam deeply, but lately it felt suffocating to stay within the comfort of the routines and the monotony that had crept into their lives. At work, Ethan's charming smile was waiting for her at the edge of her desk. "Your presentation yesterday," he said with a teasing, almost imperceptible tone. "I genuinely don't know how you do it." "It feels effortless," Emma replied, laughing, a brightness in her voice that startled her. It felt like a long-forgotten sheen of confidence and exuberance. They spoke for hours that day about everything that mattered to them: books, music, dreams, talking for hours without any signs of fatigue. She found herself opening up to him about parts of her soul she had never shared with Liam or anyone else. Ethan listened, understanding and empathizing with her. One night after Liam had gone to bed early, Emma huddled alone on the couch. The silent apartment whispered a faint hum and distant car noises. She opened an Ethan message. "I can't stop thinking about you," her heart skipping. She stared at the words, fingers almost dropping as she pressed the enter key. Her mind wrestled, arguing and pleading with her to not think about him, to not ruin everything. But another part of her, the voice that tried to suppress her thoughts, whispered, "You want this. You need this." Her thumb trembled as she typed back, "I can't stop thinking about you either." The message came almost instantly. "Let's meet." Emma's breath caught. Every rational thought dissolved into a storm of desire, fear, and guilt. She thought about Liam sleep soundly in the next room, oblivious to the betrayal waiting just a few steps away. There was pain in the remembrance of the years they spent together. Promises, love, trust, lost to the empty spaces of a life she was never meant to live. Even during those moments of self-doubt, she always remembered the first time Ethan had touched her hand or smiled in that luminous way. She always longed for the passion and risk that Ethan offered, but could not help herself from moving forward. Emma walked home through the rain, the city streets glistening under the reflections of neon signs and wet asphalt. Her coat was soaked, her hair plastered to her face, yet she barely noticed. Her mind was consumed with Ethan, his smile. The way he touched her hand lightly, the intensity in his eyes. Every step she took felt heavy, weighed down by guilt and exhilaration all at once. She knew that Liam was waiting at home, probably expecting her to be cheerful, calm, normal. And yet, the thought of returning to that life made her chest tighten. Her pulse quickened with a strange mixture of fear and longing. When she entered the apartment, Liam looked up from the book he was reading. "You're wet," he said gently, concern flashing across his face. Emma forced a small laugh. "It's nothing. Just the rain." She hung her coat, trying to hide the tremor in her hands, the chaos inside her. Liam smiled, returning to his book, unaware of how close everything was to unraveling. Later that night, Emma lay awake, listening to Liam's steady breathing beside her. She wanted to reach out, to hold him, to feel safe in the life she had built. But her phone buzzed silently on the nightstand, and when she looked at it, Ethan's name glowed on the screen. Her fingers shook as she opened the message. "I can't stop thinking about you. Meet me tomorrow." She closed her eyes, trying to force herself to ignore it. But a part of her wanted to say yes, wanted to escape into the fire that Ethan promised. The next morning at work, Ethan appeared at her desk with that familiar smile, leaning casually against her computer. "You look tired," he said. Emma forced a polite smile, heart hammering. "I didn't sleep well," she admitted, almost embarrassed by her honesty. Ethan's eyes softened. "You don't have to lie to me. You know." She wanted to tell him everything, to confess the guilt that was eating her alive. Yet the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she nodded, feeling the ache in her chest deepen. Over the next few days, the tension escalated. Emma's life became a precarious balancing act. She smiled at Liam, laughed at his jokes, and kept up appearances for the world outside, while inside, a storm raged that threatened to consume her completely. Every text from Ethan, every secret glance, every fleeting touch made her heart race and her conscience ache simultaneously. One evening, Liam suggested a weekend trip, hoping to reconnect. Emma's stomach sank. The thought of spending uninterrupted time with him without Ethan nearby filled her with anxiety and guilt. I don't know if I can," she said, biting her lip. Liam frowned, hurt flashing in his eyes. "Emma, is something wrong?" Her throat tightened. "No, it's nothing," she whispered, knowing the lie tasted bitter on her tongue. The next morning, Emma woke with a knot in her stomach. The sunlight streaming through the blinds felt harsh, almost accusing, as if the world itself knew the secret she carried. Liam was already in the kitchen, humming softly while making coffee. He looked up and smiled at her, a gentle warmth in his eyes that made her heart ache with guilt. "Good morning," he said, handing her a cup. She took it, forcing herself to return the smile. But it felt heavy, a mask she could no longer wear comfortably. All through the day, Emma's mind wandered. Every glance at her phone made her heart race. Ethan's messages were relentless, persistent, yet tender. "I need to see you. Just one more time." She told herself to ignore them, to focus on work, to remember Liam, but the pull was too strong. Each word from Ethan was a siren song, drawing her closer to a line she knew she shouldn't cross. At lunch, she found herself sitting alone in a quiet park, the gray clouds pressing down on the city. She typed a reply. "I can't. I don't think I should." Then deleted it and typed again. "I need to see you." Her thumb hovered over the send button, trembling. Finally, with a deep breath, she pressed it. The response came almost instantly. "Meet me at the corner cafe, 7 p.m. The hours dragged. Every tick of the clock felt like an eternity. She felt trapped in her own body, caught between the life she had and the desire she couldn't deny. She thought of Liam the way he trusted her, the way he loved her without condition and hated herself for the betrayal that was already in motion. And yet, she also thought of Ethan, his smile, his touch, the way he made her feel alive again, and knew that the evening would change everything. By the time she arrived at the cafe, the rain had returned, drumming steadily against the windows. Ethan was already there, sitting in the corner, eyes scanning the room until they landed on her. He stood as she approached, and for a moment, the world outside seemed to disappear. "Emma," he said softly, his voice a mixture of relief and longing. She nodded, unable to speak, her heart hammering in her chest. They talked quietly, leaning close, voices low, hands brushing occasionally. Every laugh, every shared glance sent shivers through her. She knew she was crossing a line, knew that her actions were pulling her further from Liam, further from the life she had promised to protect. Yet in Ethan's presence, none of that mattered. Here she could breathe, could feel, could be herself in a way she hadn't allowed in years. Hours passed. The cafe emptied. Rain streaked the windows like tears. And still, she lingered, caught between the reality of her marriage and the intoxicating possibility of something forbidden, something dangerous, something entirely hers. When she finally left, stepping back into the wet streets, she felt both exhilarated and hollow, knowing that the path she had chosen or was about to choose would change her life forever. The following days were a blur of stolen moments and lingering guilt. Emma found herself moving through her life on autopilot, performing the motions, with Liam while her mind wandered, constantly to Ethan. Each glance at her phone made her pulse quicken, each vibration a spark that reminded her of the secret she carried. She hated the deceit, hated herself for betraying the man who loved her unconditionally, yet she couldn't stop. Ethan had become an addiction she couldn't deny, and every encounter left her both exhilarated and hollow. At work, Ethan's presence was magnetic. He lingered at her desk, offering small touches, a hand on her shoulder, a casual brush of fingers across a stack of papers, and each one sent a jolt through her body she could neither explain nor resist. He whispered things meant only for her ears, compliments on her work, soft reassurances, confessions of longing, and each word dug deeper into her heart, making it harder to return to Liam at the end of the day. One evening, Liam suggested they go for a long walk, hoping to reconnect. The air was crisp, tinged with the scent of rain, and Emma felt the weight of the impending conversation pressing on her chest. They walked side by side, Liam talking about work, about friends, about plans for the weekend. But Emma's thoughts were elsewhere. Her gaze kept flicking to her phone, remembering Ethan's message from that morning. "I can't stop thinking about you. Meet me tonight." "Emma, you've been distant," Liam said softly, stopping to face her. His eyes searched hers, filled with concern. "Is something wrong? You can tell me." She looked down, swallowing hard. Her throat was tight, and for a moment she couldn't speak. I'm just tired," she whispered, though the words felt hollow even as they left her lips. Liam reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "If there's something, anything, you know I'm here, right?" Emma nodded, fighting back tears, her heart breaking under the weight of the lies she had told. That night, she sat alone in the apartment, staring at her phone. Ethan's messages were there, patient and insistent, offering escape, desire, and danger all at once. Her fingers hovered over the screen, trembling. "Meet me," they said. And she knew that if she went, nothing would ever be the same. If she stayed, the weight of secrecy would slowly crush her. She felt trapped, caught between love and temptation, between duty and desire, between the life she had built and the life she craved. When she finally replied, the words were almost automatic. "I'll come." The instant rush of fear and anticipation made her stomach twist. She tried to convince herself it was a one-time mistake, an indulgence, but deep down she knew it was more than that. It was a path she had already chosen, even if only unconsciously. And turning back would be impossible. Walking through the rain-slicked streets toward the cafe, she felt alive and terrified all at once. The days after that meeting with Ethan were unbearable. Emma felt caught between two worlds, each demanding her heart and attention in ways that made her dizzy. At home, Liam was patient, caring, and oblivious. He would smile at her across the breakfast table, ask how her day went, and brush her hair back from her forehead. And Emma would return the gestures mechanically, feeling each one like a sharp pang of guilt. Every touch, every word, every moment with him was now tinged with deceit, and she hated herself for it. Meanwhile, Ethan's presence grew more intense. Every message, every call, every whispered word during their meetings made the world outside dissolve. He noticed the smallest changes in her expression, the faintest tremor in her voice, and his attention both comforted and ensnared her. "You're mine," his eyes seemed to say. And though part of her resisted, another part wanted to belong to him entirely. She found herself constantly replaying the moments with him, feeling the brush of his fingers, the heat of his gaze, the quiet intimacy of stolen hours that no one else knew about. One evening, Liam suggested a quiet dinner at their favorite restaurant, hoping to rekindle the spark that seemed to have dimmed over time. Emma agreed, though a storm of anxiety churned within her. The restaurant was warm, softly lit, filled with the murmur of other couples. Liam reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "I feel like we've been drifting," he said. His voice was calm but vulnerable. "I want us to be okay. Emma, I need to know you're with me." Emma's throat tightened. She wanted to tell him, to confess everything, to rid herself of the heavy secret that had consumed her for weeks. But she couldn't. The thought of losing Ethan, the thought of leaving the intensity behind, made her chest ache. She squeezed Liam's hand instead, forcing a soft smile. "I'm here," she whispered, though every word felt like a lie. After dinner, they walked along the empty streets, the cold night air brushing against their faces. Liam kept talking about mundane things, plans for the weekend. A funny story from work, but Emma's mind was elsewhere, imagining Ethan's smile, his touch, the quiet intimacy of moments she could barely admit to herself. She felt like a stranger in her own life, a woman living two existences at once. Later that night, she found herself in her room, phone in hand. Ethan's messages waited like a promise. "I can't stop thinking about you. Come to me." Her fingers hovered, trembling. Every instinct screamed danger. Yet another part of her yearned for the thrill, for the forbiddance. She typed a reply, deleted it, and typed again. Finally, she pressed send. "I'm coming." The instant adrenaline rush made her dizzy. She knew Liam was asleep in the next room, unaware that she was about to cross another line. The apartment felt suffocating, the walls closing in, and she slipped into the night, coat pulled tight around her, heart pounding. Emma walked home through the rain-slicked streets, each step heavy with the weight of what she had done. The city lights blurred in the puddles, reflecting the storm in her chest. The apartment felt suffocating as she stepped inside, and Liam was there waiting, eyes searching, a quiet tension hanging between them. "Emma, we need to talk," he said softly, his voice trembling just enough to break her. She looked down, swallowing hard, unable to meet his gaze. The words she had rehearsed for weeks seemed to vanish from her mind. I've been seeing someone else," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam's eyes widened in shock, and for a moment he seemed to lose all composure. "Why?" he asked, voice low and broken. "Wasn't what we had enough?" Tears pricked at her eyes. I love you," she said, voice shaking, "but I felt alive with him. I never wanted to hurt you. I got lost." Liam's jaw tightened, and he turned away, pressing a hand to his face. Silence stretched between them, heavy with grief and betrayal. Finally, he whispered, I can't stay in a life built on lies." Emma's chest ached as he left the room. She sat alone, staring at the rain outside the window, feeling the full weight of her choices. The apartment felt empty, even with Ethan's messages lighting up her phone, thrilling, dangerous, but hollow now. Every stolen moment with him could never replace the life she had broken. Days passed in a blur. Liam moved out, leaving only silence and the echo of her guilt. Emma realized, painfully, that desire and passion were not love. and that trust once broken could never fully return. Alone, she pressed her hand to the cold glass of the window, watching the rain trace pass down the pane. She understood at last that some mistakes cannot be undone, and that the fire of temptation could destroy everything she had once held dear. Alone in the quiet apartment, Emma felt the emptiness settle deep within her. She had chased desire, and in doing so, lost the person who had loved her unconditionally. The rain continued to fall, mirroring the storm inside her, and she knew some lessons were learned too late.